Discover the power of SwiftUI in the world's shortest SwiftUI course. Packed with concise and focused lessons, this video wastes no time in getting you up to speed with Apple's revolutionary UI framework, perfect for busy individuals or those seeking a quick but comprehensive introduction to SwiftUI. This video covers the essentials you need to start building impressive iOS apps. With hands-on code, you'll gain a solid foundation in SwiftUI's key concepts and features, leaving you equipped to bring your app ideas to life in no time. Make sure to watch till the end and unlock the efficiency and creativity of SwiftUI with this short, impactful learning experience. We are going to go through this really fast, so make sure that you go all the way till the end and maybe rewatch it again all together. So, what we have over here is one Xcode project that I've created. It's the template Xcode project, and this is what we are given: a content view, an app file right over here, which again has the content view and the assets. Now it all starts with the content view, and this is a struct. It's not a class. We are not dealing with inheritance right over here. That's why SwiftUI is super fast, and it needs to adhere to the view protocol. What that means is that we need to add a property called body, which will return some view. Some meaning that it might return a VSTACK, it might return an image, a text, or even a modified vertical stack, for example, in our case with a padding. So either way, it will return some type of view. Now, what is this view protocol? Well, think of it like a recipe. It's just writing down the recipe and then giving it to the chef, SwiftUI, and the chef will build your UI and of course all of the connections with that data, the underlying data and the data changes for your application. You're not going to say, okay, this image or this text should be at this origin and all of that stuff. No, everything is taken care by SwiftUI for all Apple platforms. This is just a recipe, so it's super lightweight, and you are going to think of views or building out views as writing a recipe. Unlock the full potential of SwiftUI with personalized mentoring sessions at rebeloper.com/mentoring. Whether you're a beginner eager to dive into app development or an experienced coder looking to level up your SwiftUI skills, my sessions are tailored to meet your unique needs and goals. Don't miss this opportunity to enhance your SwiftUI powers. Join my mentoring program today and embark on a journey of growth in SwiftUI. The link is in the description. Now, what are these views? Because there are quite a lot, and if you don't understand the underlying nature of the views in SwiftUI, you will get a little bit lost at first. So, to learn layout in SwiftUI, you know how to lay out your views and how to let SwiftUI lay out your views according to your recipe. You need to know what type of views we have in SwiftUI. Well, there are 4 types of views, but basically 2 major ones. The first one is a pull-in view. So for example, the text is a pull-in view. It's trying to pull everything around itself to itself. And you will see right over here, because the text, hello world, is pulling the image all the way to itself. And also this image of system named, it's not an arbitrary image that you provide, it's an image of system named. That's also a pull-in view. It's trying to pull everything to itself. Now the VSTACK is also a pull-in view. It's trying to pull everything to itself. But what if we add a color right over here? Let's just go for color green right over here, and let's hit Command R and build and run one more time. You will see that the color is actually a push out view. It's going to take up as much space as it can, as much space as the other views offer. And also the text and the image is going to push this it's going to pull this push out view. Therefore, this is how views are going to be laid out. The other 2 types of image, the views in SwiftUI are images. We are going to talk about them in just a second. And You just need to give a certain frame for them. That's the difference. They are not pull-in or push-out views. And then there is the divider. So the divider is really interesting. So let's just add the divider right over here and hit Command R. It changes its properties according to which stack it is in. I don't know if you can see it right over here, but here we have our gray, light gray divider, and it is kind of pushing out sideways and pulling in from top to bottom. But if we put it into a horizontal stack, it will be basically the other way around. So it's not a push out view or a pull in view either. It's the mix of both. Okay, those are the basics of SwiftUI views. Now let's take a look at some particular views that you will encounter building out SwiftUI apps. And the first one is the VSTACK. It's a container app. As you can see, we have a container view, the VSTACK is a container view. We have some views right over here. Make sure that you don't add more than 10 views over here. If not, then use the FOREACH view. Otherwise, we also have the horizontal stack. This, as you already saw, will lay out these views in a horizontal manner, not in a vertical manner. There's also a ZSTACK, which I don't really prefer. I would prefer the overlay view modifier, which we are going to talk about in just a second. So you can see it's just laying those views on one on top of each other. Those are the stacks, and those are also, they are lazily loaded V stacks, so lazy V, lazy Z stack, lazy horizontal stacks. Those will be loaded lazily. Of course, if you are going to add them in a for each loop, and they will be loaded only when they are going to be presented on screen. So let's come back here for our vertical stack. And as you can see by default, well, let me just build and run one more time with the vertical stack. By default, everything is centered. That's kind of the golden rule in SwiftUI of layout. Everything starts off centered. Of course, you can set up alignment for these stacks too. But what I want to do is make this scrollable. So why not just add this into a scroll view? And if you are coming from UIKit, this will just look like magic. Just one line of code change right over here, and we have automatically a scroll view, which is really nice. Now, next up on the list is a list. So lists are also, UI table views types, but lists are now plain SwiftUI. Lists are over here. You see, we have all of this. Well, of course, we have this divider, which is kind of confusing. So let's remove that, and also the padding, so it would look really nice. There we go. We have this nice list automatically. Super easy to set up. Next up is our text. So you already saw, we can just add in here our text, hello world, or whatever string you'd like. We're also going to change its font in just a second. And then we have our button. So a button is, a button is just tappable. So tap me will be our title for that. And let's just print out tapped. There we go. Hit Command R and let's see our button. And this is also inside the list. As you can see, it's automatically formatted to the correct UI. And there we go. We are tapping right over here. It's really great. Next up is our text field. So let's add a text field. A text field is, you can have input in there. So you want to store some data, and now we are navigating into the realms of data handling with SwiftUI. For now, let's just add in here the placeholder. With SwiftUI, it's called title. So the title of our text field is name, and then we need here a binding. Now we can bind not variables, not of course constants. We can bind state variables into whatever view that has a binding, and this type is of type string. So at state, use the at state property wrapper, private. All state variables should be set up private. Var, and let's just call this name, and let's set this to an empty string, and let's bind the name right over here. Now I'm setting it as an empty string because I want to change this text according to the typed in name. So I'm just going to add name right over here. So this is how you can change it. Just bind it, for example, to a text field, or just put it onto a button if you choose to. So let's just have name equals Bob. And this is how you read it onto your view. And that's really straightforward. So if I tap on Tap Me, Bob has been added. And as you can see, also on the text field, it has been updated. Now, if I want to change this, as you can see, the single source of truth, this state variable also changes. Therefore, our text also changes. Now, what do we want to learn about next? Well, we want to talk about the images, the system named images. So you already saw globe. Let's just go for house. And these are the SF symbols. There are more than 5,000 SF symbols as of my current knowledge, but they are keep adding more with cool, really nice features like animations, transitions. It's really super fun. So those are the image symbols, but where can you find them? System image name symbols, where can you find them? Well, I would just double click over here so I can highlight it. Click on the plus right over here and select from the library this icon, and then you have these over there. So you can let's just go for the eraser. And then if you double click on it, it will replace that string, and there you go. And there are a lot of customizations with system named images. Now, with a simple image, you want to just name the image like so. So you just go image and add that to your assets, which I will not do for this time. And then let's just go for a name of image. And then you just simply want to make this resizable, because otherwise it will just take up as much pixels as the image is. And yeah, basically that's not what you want on your phone. You just want to make it resizable, and you also want to give it a size, well, because you are resizing it. That's basically a frame. So you just want to give a frame of a width and height, 100, it will be just fine. And the alignment, well, center is the default, so I would just be gladly using that, so I can just delete that. So that's our image. And next up is color. You already saw color. There are default colors that you can use. Also, you can set up your colors in the assets and grab your colors by their stringify, the string name, which is really great. So next up, I want to talk about a spacer. So let's come back here with the VSTACK, and I will just comment out our image over here. Let's hit Command R and let's see what we got. So basically what we actually expect it to be, it's in center. But what if I want to push it around? Well, the spacer is just for that. So I'm just adding a spacer at the bottom of the list of our views. So it's just going to push everything up, as you already saw. Now, what if I want to push only this system named image? Well, I will just move this all the way below the image, and then the spacer will be this part. It's just going to push everything to its place. And that's spacer. Now let's talk a little bit more about the view modifiers. So we already talked about padding, so let's just add a little bit of padding right over here. Padding, there we go. And let's build and run. You saw that the text fields label, the title was all the way to the right. Now we have a padding for it, which is really nice. Paddings, there are paddings. You can add dot leading, dot trailing, dot top, bottom, and you can also set up a custom value for it. If you don't really like the default ones, then you can just set a custom one if you want to. Now, let's talk about the foreground style, previously known as foreground color. So let's just have this text with a foreground style of, I don't know, maybe red. You can add in here all sorts of styles. For now, the foreground style of red will be great. So now if I click on Tap Me right over here, you see Bob is now presented as a red with the foreground style of red. Next up, we have our background. So for the background, let's have a background also on this text. So a background, and I'm going to use the one with the content. It's the simplest one because here you can add any type of view. I'm just going to add a color of, I don't know, let's just have this as orange. Why not? Okay, so yeah, it will be a little bit off because we are going to have a foreground style of red with bob and then a background of orange. But keep in mind, you can add any type of views with this view modifier. And then we have the overlay. So let's have an overlay. Well, maybe let's have an overlay on this button right over here. So dot overlay. And we are going to choose the one with the alignment and content because that's really, really interesting. Now the alignment, let's just go for bottom leading. Why not? If you want to omit this, then it will be all the way center. And then we're just going to have a text of, hey. And you know, it's just going to add an overlay. I really, really prefer this. You know, it's ugly, but I prefer this over the ZSTACK. So yeah, let's just remove this because it's, you know, visually unappealing. And let's talk about fonts. So the text might have font. I highly recommend using the built-in default fonts. So font, maybe let's just go for caption right over here, and you will see that it will be really, really small. If I tap me, there we go, it's really, really small. Or you can just go for a large title. So using these pre-built font types helps a lot with accessibility, and yeah, that's really, really important. Of course, you can just use the system size if you choose to. And then we have the onAppear, .onAppear, and we can just print out anything or do anything. Let's just go for 1, 2, 3. We can just do any type of, you know, operation when a view appears. I just set this up on the VSTACK, but you can do it on any view that you'd like. And just, you know, everything is a view in SwiftUI. Now, let's talk a little bit about navigation. So we can just make this content view navigatable by adding this navigation stack. And there are a lot of ways that you can navigate with navigation stack, but I'm going to show you the simplest one. So now that we have our navigation stack, we can just set up a navigation title. And this will be maybe SwiftUI. Let's just hit Command R. Otherwise, if you don't set this up into a navigation stack, the navigation title will be ignored. You will not see this displayed right over here. Now, we can also set up a toolbar. So let's just have a toolbar right over here with a content, the simplest one. And with what we are going to do add here is a toolbar item with a content. So let's just have auto completion right over here. Also, yeah, you can just have a placement. Let's choose that. So with a placement, and then you have these predefined, again, SwiftUI are really helpful right over here. We have these predefined places where you can add toolbar items to your toolbar. Let's just go for the primary action. And this will be, of course, different for all platforms. So in iOS, it will be on top right corner, and all of the others will have their places. So let's add a button right over here. Let's have an action and label, why not? And right over here, what I'm going to do is maybe let's just have not a text, but an image. A system named image, so system named, and let's just have maybe a chevron. There we go, and the chevron right. Why not? You could have anything right over here. Just showing you how to add in a system named image again. So right over here, now I want to navigate. So we already set up our navigation stack, but before we navigate with that, let me just show you how easy it is to show a simple sheet. So what we need here is, again, data change. Everything is driven by data in SwiftUI. So let's create another state variable, state private var. And let's just create, well, I'm going to comment this out. Let's just create our view that we are going to present. Let's create a new file, and that should be our destination view. Why not? So destination view. There we go. I'm just going to say hello destination view instead of hello world. Okay, let's just come back. And now I'm going to say is destination view presented. And that's set to false by default. Yeah, we don't want to present that sheet. And also we want to add another view modifier, which is the sheet with the is presented. You might choose the on dismiss. I'm going to omit this now. That will trigger a completion whenever this sheet is going to be dismissed, and you can do some actions right over here. So we want to bind the is presented. So is destination view presented. The content, well, it's just simply destination view. So let's build and run and let's see how this looks like. Oh, sorry, there's only one last step. We want to change the is destination view presented from false to true. So we are going to toggle it right over here on the tap of the toolbar item button. And there we go. We have that. We can swipe that down. It's really, really nice. Now, we swiped it down, but I want to show you how you can dismiss it programmatically. So let's just go into the destination view and grab our dismiss environment. So at environment and use the dismiss one. Again, private var, so we are not going to change it upon its initialization, or we cannot change it. And let's just call this dismiss. And what I'm going to do here is have maybe a VSTACK and add a button below the text. So let's have a button with a title of dismiss, and the action will be dismiss. You know, you have to add those two parentheses so you can trigger the action. So let's see, presenting the sheet, tapping on dismiss, we'll dismiss it. And this dismiss will dismiss actually the current view from the navigation. Now, this is sheet type of navigation. And by the way, this will just work with the full screen cover if you just replace sheet with the full screen cover. Now, what about stacked type of navigation? Well, before we get into that, we need to talk a little bit about data handling. Data handling is the most crucial part of SwiftUI. So for that, I'm going to just simply create a model, and we are going to learn about not MVVM but MVS. MVVM is for model view model. I talk a lot about that on my channel, but MVS is model view service, the modern way of dealing with data in SwiftUI. So let's just create our profile, our model part of MVS, model view, and the last part is service, which we are going to talk in just a second. So what we want to do is just import SwiftUI, and let's have a struct right over here called profile. And what we are going to do is just add some properties into our profile. I'm using the JSON placeholder.typico.com to have some data fetched, and we are going to basically fetch the first 100 posts and put them inside the list. Yes, you are going to learn everything about SwiftUI in this tutorial. So, well, actually, it's a course, the world's shortest course. Okay, so let's come back and create our post. Sorry, not the post. Yeah, the post actually. And this is what it looks like. User ID, title, and body. So yeah, let's just add the necessary stuff that we need. We need this to be codable because we are going to encode and decode the JSON file and encode it into our post. It needs to be identifiable because we are going to put it inside the FOREACH view, inside a list. And it also has to be hashable because we are going to navigate to the particular details of that post. So finally, we are going to add our ID because it requires the identifiable to have an ID. And then let's have a user ID also. That's also an int. We are going to have also a title, and that will be of type string. And then we are going to have a body, and again that is of type string. And that's it. We have our model from our MVS. We already have our view, but we need to massage it a little bit. So What do we need? Well, we could just do all of this right over here with state variables and all of that stuff, but I'm going to go with the MVS architecture. So maybe we need this post in multiple places. Therefore, we want to create some sort of an app service. Let's just call it an app service. Why not? So the app service will be a different file. Let's create a new file. That will be a Swift file, next app service, and this will handle all the business logic for our app. Let's import SwiftUI, and by the way, if you haven't already noticed, I am on Xcode 15 beta 4, so you want to make sure with this data handling you are using the latest version of SwiftUI, because with this one it's really super fun and super easy to use because they introduced observable, and that's a game changer. So we are going to create a class right over here. It will be called app service. There we go. And I'm going to add the macro at observable in front of our class definition. Now I don't need to worry about all the published variables, the observable object. That's all in the past. You can still use them, but now it's observable. So let's create an array of posts, just var posts. Isn't that super simple? It's an array of, like that, post. There we go. Oh, and I just realized that I made this as profile, so this has to be post. So let's refactor all of this, and this is how you can refactor in Xcode. Yeah, Murphy's law. You can learn how to also change your mistakes. So right over here, we are going to have an array of posts. So next up, as I told you, in the app service, we are going to do the logic. So we are going to have a function right over here, and it's going to call fetch posts. Yeah, it will be an asynchronous throwing function because we are going to use await and try. So first of all, we want to make sure that we have a valid URL. So we're going to guard against it. So guard let URL equals URL, and we are going to use the one with the string. And what do we want to add in there? Well, let's just grab it from here and paste it right in there. So we have that. Otherwise, we want to return. So if that doesn't really work as a URL, we can just simply return. There we go. And next, with 2 lines of code, I want to fetch all the posts. So first of all, we want to retrieve the data. So what we are going to do is get a tuple data and the result. But at this point, I don't really care about the result. We are going to try await with the URL session dot shared data for data from that URL, that first one, and we're going to provide the created URL. So now we might get, of course, data. Otherwise, we are going to throw that error. So we can just decode that data into our posts array. So we are just going to say posts equals try JSON decoder dot decode type from, and the type will be an array of posts. So post, there we go, dot self, and the data, well, the data that we have got over here. And it's this easy how you can interact with your service. Of course, you can send data. URL session is super amazing. Okay, so now let's set this up, the app service, on our app. It needs to be available throughout our app, so I'm going to add it right over here at the root where the our application starts. So we are going to have at state private var, and that is our app service and app service. There we go. We initialize it. This is the source of truth. Now we are going to add it as an environment to our whole application, our navigation stack in our case. Next up, we want to access it. Now, how can we access it? Well, actually, I'm going to remove most of this, yes. So let's just do it one by one. So we want to have access to that environment. Therefore, I'm going to have the environment app service.self and var app service. It's that simple. Now we have access to the app service environment, which is really, really cool. So let's move this is destination view presented into the app service. So I'm going to copy this out and paste it, well, maybe right over here is destination view presented. And then I'm going to remove all of this. And then also, well, actually not the VSTACK for now, because we are going to leave the sheet implementation in. Let's just see. Well, is destination view presented? We are going to say app service dot is destination view presented dot toggle, and here we are going to bind it like so. So not with the $sign, but instead we are going to say bindable app service and dot is destination view presented, and that is binding that variable. So first of all, let's build and run. Let's see if everything, we didn't break anything. Let's test the sheet. Let's see, there is our sheet. This means really, really nice. Now it's time to add in some that data that we have. So we are going to fetch the data on the onAppear. So we are just going to say app service dot fetch the posts, but we are going to need to be inside an asynchronous environment. Throwing, that's fine, we're going to take care of that. So therefore, instead of onAppear, we're going to use the task view modifier, which has automatically an asynchronous environment. So we are going to say inside the do catch statement, why not do and catch, we're going to print out the errors, localize the description if there is anything else, and we're going to try await app service dot, and now you see we have the fetch post available. We are going to fetch the post. Really, really great. Now we want to display them. So what do we want? Well, we want a list because that's the easiest way. And inside the list, we are going to have a for each with some data, and the data, well, you already guessed it, app service dot post. And it's automatically identifiable, so we don't have to add an ID over there. So we are going to get a post right over there, post in. So we could just add here the title and the body. But we are going to create a cell for our post, and we are going to pass along the post because I want to make my views really, really easy to read. Therefore, this is our function for the cell with the post of type post capital letters, and this will return some view. Okay, this is some view. So what do I want to add in here? Well, let's see, function. Okay, so we want to add a VSTACK to get rid of that error, and the VSTACK will be with alignment of leading. Spacing, we don't really care about that for now. And right over here, we are going to have a text for the post title. So post dot title, and then another text with the post dot, let's see, body. There we go. And we are going to a little bit massage this text. We're going to have a foreground style of gray and the font of caption. There we go. It's much, much nicer. So now if we take a look at our view, let's build and run, and hopefully we are going to fetch all of those 100 posts. As you can see, it's really, really straightforward. Now, finally, let's navigate. So we are going to use this cell as the label of our navigation link. So let's just have a navigation link right over here with the destination and label. So the label, as I told you, it will be this cell. Now, what about the destination? Well, we need to create another view for that. And well, actually, let me just remove this. And we are going to have a detail view. So let's create a new file, SwiftUI View, next, detail view, and this will require a post to be added. So let post, because it's going to display that particular post. Okay, so what we are going to add in here, well, first of all, let's remove the preview, and what I'm going to do is just simply show the post title. Why not? Let's just add our post dot. We need to get rid of that post dot title. There we go. We can just add the post title on the destination. Sorry, not destination view, but the detail view dot post, and we are going to pass along that post. So let's build and run one final time, and let's see this in action. There we go. We have our post. We can just navigate back. It's really easy to do all of this with SwiftUI. And that is the world's shortest SwiftUI course for you. And if you want to learn even more about algorithms, which you do need to build out these apps, go ahead and check out this video right over here.